Okay, we're going to get started. If you see the screen up in front of you, you should be seeing a link to a Google spreadsheet. Please make sure that each person that is viewing the training today individually goes to that link and signs in to that form. That's how we get credit for who attended the training. Only one person per school should be signing in. I've got a maximum of 26 people that can attend the meeting today, and I had a lot of RSVPs. So far we're doing good, but we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, welcome. Thank you for attending the training today. I appreciate your time, all of you being here. If anyone has a question, certainly type it into the chat window, and I'll do my best to kind of peek over there every once in a while and see what's going on. Let me see if I can change this window around a little bit. Okay, so why are we here? So the Raptor, let me give you a little history on Raptor briefly. The Raptor system was brought into the district a few years ago, but before that, the company itself was formed by a man who decided he wanted to help out schools and put together a program for visitor management, and at the same time would also scan visitors against the sex offender database. And he did that. He put the program out, and kind of what it was is what it was. Everybody had the opportunity to use it, but as people began to use the program, they wanted to make suggestions and recommendations, and he said, nope, this is kind of what you get. So as you would imagine, his true goal was just to create the company, put it together, and then sell the company. And of course, the new people that purchased the company quickly realized that a lot of their users had some great ideas, suggestions to make Raptor a little bit better. And so therefore, they have kind of rewritten the entire platform for Raptor, hopefully keeping all of the good things we like in Raptor, but also understanding that, you know, they've made many improvements during this time. So that's kind of how we got from here. In this particular case, Raptor has put out a new version. We have been running the new version in the administrative centers now for a year, or just about close to a year, and it works really well. The user interface that I'm going to show you today is a little easier to work with, I think, and everybody seems to be pleased with that look and feel of the program. So what's new? Equipment-wise, there is no new equipment from Raptor. The same driver's license, scanner, and printer that you use to print your labels will be the exact same one you'll continue to use. There are two different categories that will come up in Raptor this year that we've never used before. One of those is the student category, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along, but just so you're aware, this will replace IdentiKid that you may be currently using in your building. They're not going to renew that license in the district, and it will be removed from all campuses. Raptor will have the capability to check in your students as well as print out a tardy slip. Also check out students. It is not integrated with eSchool, just the same way IdentiKid was not integrated with eSchool. So it will still require a manual reconciliation process, but that should get you through. Are we supposed to see active desktop? You should see a slide on your page that says Raptor Technology, hello and good afternoon. Can I get a couple of you to let me know if that is what you're seeing? Good, okay, that sounds like that's what you're seeing, perfect. The next one is contractors. So in terms of contractors, we know that in the district, we have quite a few people that have a Fulton County badge, and it says contractor on it, has an expiration date, but it does not have a barcode. So we're going to work with our badging department, and any new contractors coming online will get a barcode starting this fall, as when everybody returns to school, as well as we may be issuing out barcodes to our existing contractors at some point in the form of a sticker that they'll put on the back of their badge. The look and the control of the program, again, the look of the program is going to be a little bit different, but it still follows the same concept of Raptor in the past. but the control is going to be significantly different. We are in essence turning over the control of the program directly to each of the schools. So what I mean by that is you'll be able to create your own users. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. You'll be able to create your own contacts. You'll be able to set up your alerts such that who gets contacted when one of the alerts occurs. So you're going to have a lot more control over that, and that way you don't have to be relying upon sending off an email or calling someone. You'll have total control over your username and password, such that, and I'll teach you that in a few minutes, of how to log into the program. If you forget your password or it doesn't work, it's very easy to set. The next piece that's changed is destinations. So in the past, you provided a list when we installed your program, and the destinations, like where people went when they were a visitor in your school, were kind of put in and then probably never touched them again. You're going to have full control over those, meaning you could set a destinations that appear on your kiosk or in your desktop as a location, and you could even change them. One example might be book fair. You might turn on book fair on your kiosk, and that way people come in, sign in for book fair. At the end of the book fair, you could either delete that one or you could just deactivate it for a period of time and then continue, be able to continue the process. So let's talk about the rollout process, the when. So let's talk about the when. There's some important dates you'll need to know. So effective May 4th, so May 4th, in 2 days from now, we are going to turn off the volunteer sign-up portal. Starting May 7th, we are going to begin the installation of the new Raptor program at your schools. Tomorrow you will be receiving an email that will give you a list of the names of the schools and the approximate time that someone will be coming to your school and calling your school to do the installation. There are some things happening today, tomorrow, and Friday regarding installation of maybe some hardware or memory, and those things will occur before the program is installed. The next date you need to know is June 1st. On June 1st will be the first time that we turn on the new volunteer portal for the next 2-year period. So let me talk about that for just a minute. We're pretty much at the end of a volunteer cycle. So the Fulton County School District allows volunteers to sign up for a 2-year period. Now, it's not a 2-year period based on when someone signs up. It's a 2-year period, calendar school year to calendar school year. So we are reaching the end of that. So that means if you had a new volunteer that signed up in March of 2018, they will have to re-sign up again June 1st of 2018. But the good news is once someone signs up anytime after June 1st, 2018, they won't have to sign up to be a volunteer again until June of 2020. So it's a 2-year period of time. That's the message you're going to want to share with your communities through emails and your newsletters, just letting them know that the volunteer portal will be open for the next school year after June 1st, and all persons wishing to volunteer must sign up again. And that sign-up process will also include the state-required mandate for child abuse reporting protocol training, as well as the application process. As someone completes that process, it is most likely they will get some notification from Raptor, but I want to make sure everyone understands that some people say they wait for an email from Raptor to tell them that they're approved or they got a confirmation number. What we have found is that we cannot control what happens to people's personal email boxes. So just let them know that if once they've signed up and completed the application and submitted the application, they should wait 24 hours, then they can report to the school, scan their ID, and begin to volunteer. They may or may not receive any email from Raptor about that process. What we found is a lot of times it goes into junk folders or spam folders or whatever it may be, and they say consistently they're not getting anything, but it just never gets into their inbox. So with that being said, as someone comes into your building after your installation of your software, and they are a volunteer, you should be able to look them up in the new system. We will transfer all existing volunteers into the new system for the remainder of the school year. But I beg a little indulgence here, because with things that get imported and things that get transferred, sometimes things get missed. So if you happen to have someone who comes to your school, and maybe this is the parent that comes every week, and you know they signed up, you know they've been a volunteer for a long period of time, and after your new program is installed, they just can't find themselves as a volunteer, we're just going to help them out, and we're going to sign them in as a visitor for the remainder of this school year. And then once this school year is over, they'll go in and sign up after June 1st into the new system, and we'll start off next year on a great start. So the next piece of this has to do with warranty. This is a very important one. So I'm going to talk about support in a little bit, but I want to make sure you guys have a good understanding of what is covered in support and what is covered under warranty. So any questions you have moving forward: how does the software work? How can I do this? My scanner's not doing that. Anything you have a problem with, contact Raptor. They have someone on call all day during the day, every day, to answer your calls and questions. They can help you walk through something. You could even call them and request another scheduled training session. So if you want to see this again from Raptor, you could call them up and say, can somebody help me and walk me through this again? Paul did a horrible job. Anything you want to say, and they'll help you out. Now, if you have a Raptor kiosk with a label printer, and you have the desktop with your driver's license scanner and the Dymo label printer, those are warranted items. And what that means is if anything goes wrong with that printer or that driver's license scanner, you call Raptor. They're going to ask you to go through some steps. They may even log into it and take a look at it. And if they determine it's defective or broken, they should replace it under warranty. You might have to insist upon that, because this is not a common practice for their company, but we do have warranty on all of those items. The only question they're going to ask you about the Dymo label printer is, are you using Raptor labels? So let me be clear. If you tell them no, you're not using Raptor labels, you will void the warranty. So please don't go to Staples or Office Depot and purchase blank labels just because they might be a little bit cheaper or something like that, because you will void the warranty on that printer. These printers are getting close to 4+ years old, so please order your supplies from Raptor in terms of the labels. There is an open PO through contracting. You cannot purchase these on the P card, but your bookkeepers should know how to place those orders through an open PO with contracting to order labels off the Raptor site. So, is there a Raptor number? I don't know what that means unless it's a phone number, and I will show you that. So let's go ahead and get into the program. So the first piece we're going to talk about here has to do with two types of administrators in the building. So two types of managers in the building. The first one we'll talk about will be the entry administrator. The second one will be a building administrator. So we'll come back to the the building in a few minutes. We're going to start with the entry administrator. So to best talk about that, I'm going to give you some kind of like a visualization. If you'll work with me and think about this in your mind, there's two categories of users and contacts. Or there's two categories. One is users and one is contacts. So let's talk about a user. A user of the Raptor system is someone that that has a password, that logs into the system, most likely at the front desk, with the purpose of scanning IDs, printing labels, looking at reports, and those people are considered users. A contact is someone who does not log in the system, and their sole purpose is just for emergency notifications. So we think about maybe some typical roles in the district. We could very well have a principal that doesn't use the system, never logs into the system. You've probably done a lot of these things for them if you're not the principal, but you just want to be contacted if there's a sex offender or an emergency alert in your school, and that's okay. You would just be a contact. On the other side of the coin, you could have somebody, the principal could be a user, and that would mean the principal wants to log into the computer, wants to look at the visitor and volunteer reports and see what's going on in the school. And then you could have somebody that wants to be both. So you could have a principal that wants to do both. I want to be able to log in, I want to see reports, and I want to be contacted in the event of an emergency or a sex offender on my campus. So we'll kind of talk about those roles. For the point of entry administrator training, what I want you to see is that we're going to go through the sign-in process, the sign-out process. We're going to talk about how to manage visitors and how to generate reports. And we're going to talk about the sign-in procedures. We're going to talk about someone who's a first-time visitor, someone who returns, visitors with no ID, offender alerts, custom alerts, and how to sign someone out. So first thing is logging in and logging out. There is a new link to log in and out of the program. It is not the one that you have on your desktop now. So if you want to write that down up there in the orange part of the screen where it says https://apps.raptortech.com, that'll be important for you, as that's the link you're going to use to get into the program. When you click on that, the screen will look totally different than what you used to see. It's going to be this little box looking device over here. And let's see here, let me open this up. There we go. So this is going to be what it looks like when you log in. You'll enter in your username, you'll enter in your password, and then you'll log into Raptor. Okay, so if you didn't write it down, this is the link you need to write down to get into Raptor. Once you log in the first time, and the way you're going to do that is when you get to this screen, you're simply going to click on the Forgot Password. When you click on Forgot Password, it's going to ask you for your email address. So you'll type in your email address, you'll get a link in your email to reset your password to make it whatever you want it to be. If you get to this point, you click on Forget Password, and it says your email does not exist, then you need to contact Andrew Richardson at Richardson, what's your email? Richardson A2 at fultonschools.org. Right, if you have any trouble with it. But here's the catch. If someone at your school already has an account and can log in, they will be able to set you up as a user in the system. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. All right, so let's continue. This is kind of what the desktop is going to look like when you get into it. So the Raptor interface is basically going to have, at the top will be your building. Over on the left-hand side of the screen will be what's called your navigation menu. Then this whole part in the middle is really what we're calling the workspace. And then one thing that's going to change is the emergency buttons are now located in the top right-hand corner, and we'll talk a little bit more about those as we continue on. So let me say this, I'm going to skip through a lot of these slides today. I'm going to talk to you about some things, and then when I'm done talking to you, so don't feel like you need to write things down that are on the slides. I'll show you where these slides are located, where all the user guides are located. So you'll be able to find this information later on your own. So you're going to see me fly through a lot of this, but more so importantly is I'm going to go into the program and show you how to use it in the live program. So user profiles, preferences, there's changing password where you can set your own password. This is kind of a sample of what a desktop would look like with charts and graphs all over it. And then this is kind of the biggest part about it is there's going to be a different look towards the sign-in screen. So on the navigation side, when you click on sign in and sign out, you're going to do three things. You're going to select something. You're going to select either sign in and sign out. You're going to select who is signing in or signing out. And then you're going to select the method. You're going to scan the ID, you're going to type in their information and try to find them, or you're going to do a manual entry. Suffice to say, the only time you ever want to do a manual entry it's just the only thing left to do, such as maybe they only have a passport, their ID won't scan for some reason or another. Keep in mind, if you do that, it's very important that you type in their first name, their legal first name, their legal last name as it appears on their identification. Highly recommend you ask them to show you their passport or whatever identification that they present to you, and you type it in directly off of the ID so that you don't wind up with a spelling error or just the wrong information if you have to type it in. But ideally, we only want to scan them in or find them, you know, as we were entering into the program. So, of course, you scan someone, you insert their driver's license into the scanner, you sign them in, or you click on the find and you look for them. Manual entry, we just talked about that. And then this is the potential screen you may see. So, very important. This is the offender alert, and I guess you guys have probably seen this a couple of times, so let me walk through what this is. So, on the left-hand side over here is the person that is standing in front of you. So, that's the person before you, the license that has just been scanned, and then the screen on the right-hand side in the red, this is the offender. So this is the search that it's found and trying to do a comparison from this one to that one to see if they match. Now, in this case, we probably could agree that this person on the left is this person on the right. So if that's what happens, you would click on match. And that's up here at the top. It's going to ask you if you'd still like to print the label, which that may be possible. If you're having a meeting or the principal's having a meeting with this particular person, you would still want to print the label, and then it's going to send out the alerts that that person is in your building. If, for example, this is not the person, so this person that's over here on this side does not match this person, notice that there are one of four, and it's very important that you click on no match and go through each example to determine is this person a match or no match. If you get all the way to the end to no match, it'll print the label if it says it's not the person. Now, just a quick side note, if you have someone that enters your building on a regular basis, they've been coming to your school for a while, you know they're not a sex offender, but it keeps coming up with possible matches and they're not the person, and it does that every time they come in, contact Raptor support, let them know who that person is, and they can flag that person to help keep them from popping up. That flag is usually only good for about 1 year, and you will have to call back if the sex offender database changes or if it starts popping up again. You can contact Raptor one more time. They'll put that notification back on there to stop that from happening. So signing out works the same way. You choose sign out at the top. After you choose sign out at the top, you say who are you trying to sign out, in this case a visitor. Then the list appears down here, and you choose the one you want to sign out and click on the sign out button. If you do not sign someone out, they will automatically be signed out at 6 p.m. on a daily basis. So I'm going to skip through this, and I'm going to log into the program, so bear with me for just a minute. So again, this is what the login screen looks like. When you get here the first time, if you forget your password, you click on Forget Password. I've already entered my username and my password here, so I'm going to click on Login to Raptor. So this is the dashboard for the administration center. So you're going to see that, you know, this is the people that will come in the building during the day. Here's those little charts and graphs. As I scroll down, you can see visitors sign in by day of the week. You'll see some different reports for volunteer. These are staff that have signed in today versus visitors. So again, walking through that process, we would come over, we can click on sign in, sign out. Here's your sign in button or your sign out button. You choose which one of these you're wanting to do. If it's a visitor and you click scan, then you scan their license. You can click find underneath, or you can do manual entry to sign them into the program. Again, sign out's the same thing. You find sign out. Under visitors, you can see the people that have entered our building today that have not been signed out. To sign someone out, you just click the little blue button. It signs them out. Again, if you don't do anything, these people will be signed out automatically at 6 p.m. in your building. The next piece is an entry admin person would be reports. So you can click on reports by category up here at the top. You can determine what you're wanting to look at. So if you want to look at visitors, and you want to look at sign-in history by date, you click on that, you choose the date, and you will begin to see visitors appear in the bottom, and you can look at that as well as this information is available to be exported into Excel or as a PDF. So the other thing I want to show you is at the top right-hand corner, we have changed the buttons. So notice there's 3 buttons up here, one for active shooter, one for hostile visitor, one for hard lockdown. First thing is, if you have any of those types of situations occur in your building, the first person you should be calling is 911. So the buttons are certainly a convenience button. If that were to occur, you could click on one of the buttons, but I would highly recommend the first thing you need to do is to dial 911. Think of these buttons as just another tool in your tool belt of getting assistance. If someone were a hostile visitor and they were kind of all up in your face at the desk and maybe saying some bad things to you or scary things, it might be possible for you to reach up and click the hostile button, and when you do, you'll see that the emergency alert will be sent in 3 seconds to 1 when it happens. You'll also get your messages alerted. You probably just heard that one on my phone as I did that, and it goes that quick. So we will show you as the building admin how you set those up in just a few minutes. So that kind of covers the entry administration portion. And remember, that's just the person that's typically signing people in and out and printing reports. So I'm going to click over and go to the building administrator training, and then we'll walk through this one. So again, as a building admin, you're really looking at creating user accounts and creating contact accounts, activating those accounts, managing them, dealing with alerts regarding sex offender or the emergency buttons or custom alerts. So in this case, we'll talk about how to navigate through that, how to create those users, create those alerts, and then we'll talk about how to do the destinations and reasons that we spoke about. So I'm going to fly through these slides again. I'll show you where to find them later, but then we'll go into the real program and I'll be able to show you what it looks like. Key thing to recognize is that all users or contacts start out with the exact same screen, and that's this part up here in the top. They're all going to look like this when you start. You're going to answer a question. Are they a user and a contact? Are they a user only or a contact only? But irregardless, you got to put in their first name, last name, email address, their building, their title, and time zone. Please choose Eastern time zone if you're given that question. So as you do that, the bottom is the only part that changes underneath it. If they're a user, then you're going to see information about roles, such as put in a password form. Remember, you can put in any password you want. Doesn't really matter because they're going to do forgot password, and then they can set their own. For roles and permissions, there's only 2. Any user that you create is either a building admin or they're a entry admin. You make that determination as if they're going to be managing the system by adding users or controlling that, or if they're just going to be signing folks in. And you can change that at any time as well. After you've entered that information in, then they will be considered that role. As far as the next one, it has to do with a contact only. Again, it starts out the same at the top, and then the only thing different is you're going to add in their email. I'm sorry, you already have their email, but you're going to add in their text number here. And if you want to do voice notifications, you can do it here, but that's just a lot of information if you do that. Over here under contact detail, this drop down gives you the choice of choosing, do they get an email only, a text only, an email and text only, an email, voice and text, or any combination of the above. So a question I have on here is, who would be notified in the event of a hostile visitor is selected? Would it be any registered user? No, it would be any registered contact that you put into an alert. And I'm going to show you that here in just a moment. So this is how you get them in as contacts. This is how you get them in as users. And you can also deactivate them. So when people leave, you can take that access away from them or deactivate it. Again, resetting passwords we talked about. So let's talk about the alerts. That's a great segue. Thank you for the segue on that question. So when you have alerts, there's three kinds of alerts that we work with. The first one is a sex offender alert. The next one is a custom alert. And the next one are the emergency buttons. So the sex offender alert, we know what that, basically if a visitor, contractor, volunteer, or someone comes to sign in, we scan it against the database, and it pops up with the alert. Emergency buttons, we talked about those, the top right-hand corner. And again, I'll show you how to assign people to those buttons if one of those things occurs. Custom alerts. Custom alerts are typically used in the district not to replace what we do inside of eSchool with custody issues and things like that. But you could put in a custody issue as a custom alert into Raptor. You could put in something like you have a parent that always comes to the cafeteria, but 2 hours later you always find them in the classroom or a gymnasium where they shouldn't be. You could easily put in a custom alert when that person comes in. It sends a little notification that says, hey, Paul Hildreth is in the building. Please let the principal know so she can check for him in 2 hours because he's probably wandering around. So things like that can be done. It's not a replacement for the legal process that we have in eSchool, but it's just a notification process should you choose to do it. And I'll show you how to do that as well here in just a minute. So let's skip through all this. Custom alerts, I'll show you how to set those up. The next piece of this has to do with destinations. So I'm going to show you inside of module settings, and keep in mind the modules that we're using are the visitor module, the contractor module, the student module, the staff module, but we'll show you inside the visitor module settings where you can go in and set those specific reasons as to why people are visiting you, such as nurse, principal office, school event, whether it's enabled in the kiosk as well, and then you can save that. So you'll have that flexibility to do that. So I'm going to jump out of this and go back to the Raptor program, and I'm going to start back on the dashboard. So again, as a building admin, when you log into the program, you're going to be making administrative changes. So I'm going to click on the admin tab. First thing is users and contacts. So we talked about that. If we look at users and contacts, the first thing, if you want to add a user over here, is you click on add user, and it's going to ask you that question. Is it a user and a contact, a user only, or a contact only? So we'll start with a contact only. I'm going to click that. So the first part, first name, last name, email, primary building, title, and then what is their text message number. If I chose user only, the top stays the same. We have to put in a password, whether they're active or not, and then we come down here and choose what is their role. Now you're only going to be able to choose entry or building. You won't have to worry about the rest. And then if it's both, then you simply get both username, password, the contact details with the text messaging, and their role. Okay. The only thing I ask is underneath all of these are a bunch of check mark boxes. Please do not change any of those. It should be exactly what you need, but if there's some question or whatever, you can certainly let us know. But that should cover all the functions you need in that role. So that's basically users and contacts. So now we're going to talk about the alert settings. So I'm going to come down over here to the admin tab, down to alert settings. And again, working off the types of alerts that we have, the first one being a sex offender, we have custom alerts and emergency buttons. You can disregard the one that says instant. But under, for example, for sex offender, this is the message that's going to go out. And notice how it's very specific now. It used to just say something has happened at this building, but now it's going to be very specific. It'll put the person's name, it'll put the date, the time, the building name, and the user name that's signed in. So it's very important. For example, if you're the person sitting at the front desk, that you log into Raptor using your own user ID. If you get up from the desk, for example, to go to lunch or take a break, whatever it may be, and someone else takes your place, that person, you should log out of Raptor and you should log into Raptor using your own credentials. So this is the text message that's going to go out, and notice how there are names already in gray that are populated inside of this add contact. Those are school police related. Those are the command staff. They're not your local school police officers. You will have to add them yourself. And so I'm going to jump up real quick just for fun, and I see that Miss Morrissey is on from Crabapple Middle, so I'm going to click down here and go to Crabapple Middle. And when I do that, we're going to see, let's look at your users and contacts real quick. Somebody's been working in your program. That's awesome. So here's the list of users and contacts for Crabapple Middle. Notice that they're not all users. There's only 2 people that are set up to log into the program, and they're not all contacts. So in this case, Linda Porter and Melissa Davis will not get contacted of any of those notifications because it says no. But if anyone needs to be contacted, it's only going to be the folks listed here, the Tom, Eric, Miss Morrissey, Nancy, and Ginger. They're the only ones that are going to possibly get contacted. So now I'm going to go back to the alert settings, and under sex offender, take a look. All the gray ones are here that we put in. Eric Casey, Miss Morrissey, Miss Threet are all the ones that are going to get contacted by email if there's a sex offender alert, and by text message. And it's easy to add someone. You just click in the link, you find the person that you want, click on that, you can add them in. And if I say, no, I really don't want that person to get it, or they shouldn't get it anymore, you just click on the X, and you can remove that person from getting those messages. That's how you do sex offender alerts. For custom alerts, notice there's not a custom alert set up here yet, so we would add one over here on the right. And again, with custom alerts, if the person has ever been in our building, we can do a quick find and see if we can find their photograph and name. And if you do all that, then it'll pre-populate all this information for you. If you don't have that, you could type in their first and last name, middle name, date of birth, the date that's going to start with the custom alert, and the expiration if you have an expiration. If you don't put in an expiration, it'll just go indefinitely. And then in here's where you put the text. Call me if this person comes in the building, whatever it is. And again, this is for Crabapple Middle. And then you would want to enter in the information about the notifications as well. So this is going to be how you would set up a custom alert. And I'm going to click over to the emergency buttons. On the emergency button, this one's a little bit different. Notice there's 3 different types of buttons. So you have to set up each button independently for notification purposes. So for example, I'm going to click on active shooter, and under active shooter, as you can see, I'm the only one that's going to get contacted by email or text if we were to click on the active shooter button for Crabapple Middle. So if we want to add somebody in, so I'm going to put in, let's see, R, there you go. So I'm going to put in the principal's name right there, and in case that person comes in, or somebody clicks on active shooter rather, now there's 2 people that are going to get contacted, and you have to make sure you save it. So I'm going to click on save, and I'm going to go back to the dashboard just to show you this. I'm going to click on active shooter, and 2, 1, here's my alert. There's mine. And let's see if Miss Morrissey gets it. You can type in the window there if you got yours. But we'll presume that she got it here within a couple seconds or so. I'll keep looking for a notification in the chat window. But going back to that, admin alerts, that's how you will add it in. So again, we've created an emergency button for active shooter. And yeah, there it is. And we've got, she says she got it, so woohoo. All right, so I'm going to leave you in there. You guys control this now, so if you want to take yourself out, that's up to you. And you would want to do the same process for each one of these. Hostile visitor, again, I'm the only one that's in there now, so you would need to put yourselves in there and then save that. So then the final thing I want to show you in here is module settings. So again, we're doing administrative functions and then module settings, and I'm going to click on visitors. So when we have visitors, oh, you guys have been busy again, awesome. So notice that the school here has already chosen some destinations or reasons for the visit, and they've been typed in here already. And let me close this window over here so I can see this. All of them are going to show up in the desktop as well as the kiosk. And then this button here is where you would edit one of them, or you could delete it with the trash can. So I'm going to open one of those just to show you what they look like to edit. So I clicked on the edit button, And now here's where you can type in information. For example, you type anything you want to in there. When you're done or you want to change it and you're done, you click on the check mark box over here on the right. If you only want it to show up at the desktop, not on the kiosk, you can turn off the kiosk right here. And then when you're done with it, just click on the check mark box to save your information. And that's basically how you'll set up your visitors in terms of where they go. For volunteer purposes, I just want to show you this. We have got a lot of functions pre-programmed, and we're going to leave those functions in there for now, and you can't change those currently. We want to be able to track people the way they're doing business in our buildings consistently across the district. So for example, if somebody's coming in and they're a copy room helper, and they sign in that way and that's their role, we don't want the next school changing that to be Xerox helper and the next one to change it to be something different. So we want them to pick the same kinds of categories so that we can track the people that are doing the same kinds of jobs in the district as a volunteer. So let me open this window back up. Slide that down. At this point in time, that's pretty much the training. Let me show you one more piece. I promised you how to get help, and here's how you get help. So this is the support tab. When you click on support, over here on the right-hand side of the screen, this is how you contact support. Call that number, email them, any questions, any concerns that you have. This is probably the most important button outside of that. It's called Raptor University. And with Raptor University, I'm going to click on that. Documentation. So end user training guides. Everything I've shown you today is located in this section here. Oops, I didn't click on my, there we go, click on it. It's located in that section there, or I have to scroll down here, under the quick reference guides. So for example, I showed you guys how to add a contact, and you forget how to do that. If you click on add contact, it's going to open up a PDF document that will walk you through all of the steps that we talked about today in terms of how to add someone as a contact. So that should provide you with a good piece of help, as you know, in terms of looking for things. If that's not good enough, you can click on media, and under media there are some actual videos. You can look at these videos here about how to scan someone, how to add a custom alert, things like that. All of that's in here for you to view. And then finally, back on the dashboard, in the bottom right-hand corner of every single page is the phone number for Raptor. I wanted to make sure you saw that on all the screens, and it's also on the sign-in button as well. So, are there any questions? If someone has a question, you want to type it in to the chat window. I'm going to turn off the mute here just a second and allow you guys to ask questions. Sorry, I turned off my ringer so you could hear the notification, and now I'm getting phone calls. So I'm going to unmute everybody. If someone has a question, let's just not all try to talk at the same time. So if you have a question, anybody?
Yes. Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hey, how does Crabapple already have all that in there if it hasn't been turned to that program yet?
Great question. So I've already trained over 220 people in this program around the district, so they've probably already had somebody come to the training, so which is a great segue. Thank you. You do have homework. Hopefully between now and before you go live, we would like you to go ahead and go into the program, set up all of your contacts, set up all of your users, set up all of your alerts and your destinations. And so
we're setting it up. You mean once it switches over on May the 7th?
No, you can do that today. No, you can do it.
You can do that
right
now in the old.
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
Okay, what other questions?
This is Gloria. Will we have icons on all of our desktops or laptops for the Raptor system, or do we just use the one laptop that has it right now?
Okay, if I heard your question correctly, you're asking about an icon to log in.
Correct.
When they install the program, there will be an icon. The biggest difference is if you're not using a scanner or a printer, you can just type in what I highlighted at the top of the screen into take out the word dashboard. But if you type in https://apps.raptortech.com, you can do that on any computer and then log in and look at reports, set up users, contacts. You don't have to have a scanner.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think she's available right now. Would you be able to take her name and number?
Any other questions?
Can we please have the service number again? We couldn't see it on the computer.
Sorry, which number would you like?
Including the training.
The 770, the contact service number.
Just wants to talk to somebody.
You need support?
Okay, support. I can be up in about 5 minutes.
It would be fabulous. Thank you.
Is that the number you're looking for?
Yes, support.
Okay.
Is it? I didn't get the number. I couldn't hear you.
What am I talking about?
Are you asking Raptor Support's phone number?
Yes, sir.
It's 713-880-8902.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next question.
So the only person that can add the contacts and stuff, you have to be more than a user. You have to be what? A user and a.
Well, the only
If I'm a user, can I go in and add contacts?
I can feel the difference at the OG with all the kids.
So great question. If you're a user, then you're either an entry admin user or a building admin user. So if you're a user and you're only designated as an entry admin, then you can only sign people in or out. If you're in as a building admin, and if you notice over here on the screen, I'm showing you there's two people that are in, their roles have been determined as building admin. So for Crabapple Middle, for example, because there's only two people identified as a user, those are the only ones that can add, delete, change reasons, things like that.
That's cool.
But when you set that up, you can choose if they're a user, whether they're an entry person or a building admin.
So building admin means that they can add and do all that.
Yes, ma'am.
So is all this going to be on the side on my Raptor right now where it says
What school?
contact?
My level ones are a lot higher in math than they are ELA.
Hainesbridge.
I'm sorry, what's your school?
Hainesbridge.
ELA is.
So, for example, Hainesbridge currently has one user that is a building admin, Lynn Busby.
That's me.
Yep, so you can log in. Congratulations.
Okay.
So, Lynn, if anybody else at Hainesbridge Middle School needs an account, that's your job.
Okay.
You can go in and you can click.
Contacts, and I go over there and add. Okay.
You go add user contact, what's their role, and then you add them in.
Okay, and then I go and add in all the contacts as far as alerts.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, okay.
You got it. Next question.
When I go into Raptor right now, I don't see all that stuff. Module settings, alert settings.
Are you logged into the new Raptor?
Yes,
in there.
So I can go ahead and log into the new Raptor?
Yep, just type in what you see highlighted at the top of my screen.
There.
I guess I didn't understand what the new Raptor installation was on May the 7th.
Well, that's where they're going to have to come out to your school. They're going to start doing that on May 7th. It's going to take about 2 weeks to get to all the schools, but they will actually load the program on the computer, and then they're going to set up the scanner and the printer so that they work together.
Okay, so, but if I go to the new one now, it's still going to all work, the scanner and the printer?
Well, yeah, you can't do this on that one right now. It won't work. You can do this on any other computer or any
Okay, so you're
laptop.
saying log on to that and play with it. I still have to use my other one to scan and print.
Right. You're going to keep using the old system until they come put the new one in.
Okay. But I can log on to the new one and go ahead and add my contacts.
Correct.
Okay, I got you.
All right, so I had a request for Northwestern. So currently at Northwestern, we have no users. So Kevin, is that you that needs to be a user?
Yeah.
And I see a yes on that.
You have a user I got an email. Well, I tried to follow up this morning to get an email.
So I need you to sign in to that Google form or send an email to Andrew Richardson and request he'll set up your account, and then you'll be able to set up everyone else inside the school.
It's that big list to establish and create accounts. That's what that's this morning. Of all of us.
So Teaching Museum North and South are listed. So for Teaching Museum South, it's listed there, and there are currently 2 users in the system. So Renaissance Middle School does not have any users. You'll need to contact Andrew Richardson and ask him to set up your first account, and then you'll be able to set up the rest.
Can you please check Paul D. West Middle School? Oh, yeah.
Same thing. We don't have an account set up for you yet, so you'll need to contact Andrew Richardson. He'll provide you with a single username and account, and then you guys can set up the rest.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, that's it for the day. I thank you for your time, and you'll get more information via email in terms of the schedule tomorrow and some other information. So thank you for your time, everyone. Okay. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
418.